Hello everyone, and welcome to section 12.4. It's one of the shorter sections on standing giants. I would encourage you today to take some time and pray for some of the things that are going on in our country right now. Aside from the coronavirus, we had a pretty severe storm hit the southeast. I have a picture pulled up on Facebook of a Grace Baptist Academy, and you can see how these Christian schools, just like ours, are absolutely devastated from a storm that hit them, and that could be our gym. And so, anyways, just something to think about. A lot going on right now in a lot of people's lives. So, anyway, let's get started with 12.4, standing giants. Tricky molecule, CO2. Carbon dioxide, 1 carbon, 2 oxygen. There's two different things, a carbon sink and a carbon source. Carbon sink is something that absorbs carbon dioxide, like a tree. A carbon source is something that makes carbon dioxide. You are a carbon source. Your body takes in oxygen, and the oxygen goes to your cells, and the cells put out carbon dioxide. And at least that's what your lungs are supposed to do. And when your lungs do that, you get rid of all the waste in your blood. That's a good thing. The bad thing is that the carbon dioxide levels in our atmosphere are going up and up and up. And some people don't think that's as bad of a thing as it could be. Some people think it's a horrible thing, because many scientists are concerned that when CO2 rises in the atmosphere, it will cause the world to warm. And of course, there are many different studies on this. Let me pull up Google here, Dr. Google, right? CO2 levels over time. And of course, when you take a look at Google, it's going to show you 800 million years ago. Well, of course, there are some issues with that, I think, but you can see, I'm going to move myself out of the way here. As the CO2 levels rise, we hit warm periods, and when they fall, we hit cool periods, according to many scientists. And they go up and down naturally over time. We're quite above what is natural. Well, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Well, there's a lot of study to be done on this. Certainly not an expert. But I think we should be taking care of our carbon sinks like trees, some bacterium, also some algae. Many algae out there take care of CO2 that we put into the atmosphere. And we should be very concerned with what we are putting into our atmosphere anyway. We only have one Earth, and we ought to take care of it. We are stewards given the Earth by God. Removal of trees. Deforestation is a temporary or permanent removal of large, expansive forests for agricultural settlements or other uses. Some of this is through prescribed burning, intentionally setting a controlled forest fire. Now, why on earth would we set a fire to a forest? Well, actually, fires are very natural, and they can be very healthy for a forest. The forest might be plagued with disease or like a blight. A blight is a fungus that might infect a forest. You may have heard in history, maybe you can ask Mr. Merrill this week, about the Irish potato famine. And it was caused by a blight. And I'm sure that if they were to have set those potato fields on fire, that it would have caused the blight to go away. Now, of course, the Irish potato famine starved millions of people because there wasn't enough food to go around. But prescribed burning can be very helpful, and it can clear some stuff out and allow for new, good forests to grow in. There's 3 methods for cutting forests down. You have selective cutting. Selective cutting selects like every other tree and chops it down, and then they plant new trees in that place, and they let these new trees grow, and then in a couple years they cut down the ones they didn't cut, and the new trees hopefully will get to the same height that the old ones were. Clear cutting. This is not necessarily the most wise method of cutting, just sawing every last thing down and then replanting it all. But, of course, it does get you the most lumber. And strip cutting. It's where you take out a entire strip out of the land and you leave forest on either side. And then you replant this whole thing, and then you go cut all this down. And then this is growing here a little bit, and then this is completely gone. Then you go, and then this is grown, this is growing, and you can see how they have a rotation of different things. And so you have a phase that's growing, you have a phase that's grown, and then you have a phase that's cut. And this is a very popular method of cutting. Sometimes if you're traveling through maybe a more mountainous state like Tennessee, you can see strip cutting where you see an entire line of trees just gone in the middle of a forest. You're like, what in the world? You know, did somebody cut all those down? Yeah, they did. And they probably cut it down for something like this. And here's a very nice log cabin. I like the log cabin house idea. My wife just put her thumbs up. She is all for a log cabin house. That's a pretty beautiful one, well built, and uses a whole lot of lumber. Harvesting the crop. Some very important chemicals come from trees, like cellulose, lignin, and oils. In addition to chemicals that are harvested, logging provides building materials for our homes. Just about every home has wood in it, and some of these homes in Florida are made, their foundation, and their entire structure is made of wood. And regardless of whether that's a good or a bad thing, wood is very, very important for us. And so we need to have a really constant supply. So we do need to harvest wood. It's not like we can leave our forest alone completely. And that's all I have for you today. So make sure you do section review 12.4, page 455, numbers 1 through 5. And we have a good discussion tomorrow, section 12.5 on conserving America's forest. All right, I'll see you later, guys, and have a good, what's it today? Maybe Wednesday or Thursday? I lost track. But anyway, see ya.